I've been meaning to try out the Picato RB77 Ritchie Blackmore signature string set for quite some time now, but I always shied away because there are some weird gauges in there. However, I did talk to Cookie, who was Blackmore's guitar tech in the 80s, and he did confirm that these are the right gauges, so this set is legit. You can find it in a couple of web shops, just look for it. But I would really advise everyone to check it out because it really helps, or I've found out that it helps understanding Blackmore style a bit more. Now, there's going to be two things I'm going to discuss in this video. First of all, the feel and then the tone. And I would like to start with the feel because understanding how the gauges are different will help you understand why it sounds different, because it is different than your regular 9 or 10 gauge set, not just for feel, sound as well. Now I'm going to put up a diagram for you to be able to see it better, but basically if you take a look, it's not really a 9 set, not really a 10 set either. So if we start with the lowest strings, the low E and the A string, those are even heavier than what you would have in a 10 gauge, but not quite as heavy as what you would have in an 11. But then the D string is the same as in a 10 gauge set, and the high E also is the same as what you would have in a 10 gauge set. The B string is the same what you would have in a 9 gauge set, so there you can already feel that the B string is gonna feel way looser than the high E string, and the G string is the loosest, that's the smallest or lightest gauge in the whole set. And it is really apparent when you're playing. Bending the G string is just so much easier than it was before on like a 9 or 10 set, and it's also way easier than bending on the high or the B string. And I think this is really a key component of Blackmore's playing, because he does a lot of bends on the G string with his index finger. Now I'm not plugged in, so you can't hear it, but you might be able to see me do. So he does bend a lot with his index finger on the G string.
I think your G string's flat.
I don't wear a G string.
And on a regular, I'm not even sure which gauge it is, but what comes in my usual 9 set, it's so much harder to bend with the index finger than this slide gauge Blackmore uses. Now I always thought that Blackmore just had a really strong index finger, but I think part of the solution is the gauge. So will this set enable you to play more like Blackmore? I think so. I think it can be a catalyst of understanding how he plays or replicate his style better. Now what I'm not quite sure of, if he's still using this or if he used it in the beginning of the 70s. I found this ad, I think it's from 77, so I think it's safe to say that he started using this gauge around with Rainbow, so middle of the 70s. I'm not sure if he did this on Machine Head, but I think it explains a lot. Having heard both sound samples playing the riff from the rock and roll on the lower strings and just now playing some lead licks on the higher string, I think it's pretty obvious or apparent that there is a difference. But before we talk about the difference, let me just mention that these two sets of strings, the Blackmore set and what I usually use, the Elixir OptiWeb, are not necessarily the different. There are similarities between the two. They are both round band and they are both nickel plated. So the difference really is the coating on the Elixir, which some people don't like. I don't have any problem with that. I actually don't really like changing strings. I guess who does? So it's really comfortable for me because I can use these way longer. So the strings have some similarities in there, but still, on listening to the lower strings, I think the Blackmore had fatter, more mid-rangey tone, and the Elixirs had more of a crisp, snappy, brighter top end. And that I kind of actually prefer, definitely on this guitar. And this is why I also played the sound samples on my other guitar, the natural Japanese ash Strat, because that's a really bright guitar. So I thought that putting on a fatter Blackmore strings would help the sound, and I think it sounds rather good with the Elixirs. It might sound a bit thin at times, but I think most of these differences are really obvious on the lower strings. On the higher strings, when I was playing around with the licks, if you're listening closely, you might be able to hear it, but it's not huge, or it's not that obvious. It's definitely something that I guess you can EQ out. I'm not sure how well would it come across in a mix, maybe just a little, but overall I think there is a sound difference, mostly on the, or difference in tone, mostly on the lower strings. But the bigger thing is the playability. It really changes how you would play, how you would bend on different strings. So that's basically it. I think it was really educational for me. At least I'm glad I finally gave the string set a shot. And my takeaway is that I do want to have a lighter G string to play more of those index finger bends on the G string. And I hope it was, well, useful for you as well. It wasn't too entertaining, so at least I'm hoping you got something to take away. Let me know what you think. If you have tried these sets, let me know. If you want to try them, also let me know. And just in general, just tell me if you heard the same differences as I did. Alright, so thank you guys for watching this video, and see you in the next one.